A royal arrival in our nation's capital. King Charles III and Queen Camilla touched down in Canada.
Tonight, details of their two-day whirlwind visit and a crowning moment in Parliament tomorrow. Good evening. It's been nearly 7 decades since a new monarch stepped foot in Canada until today. But
King Charles is no stranger to this country. This is his 20th visit, but it may also be his most consequential. As CTV's Colton Prale reports, the monarch is set to deliver the speech from the throne tomorrow.
For the first time as reigning monarchs, King Charles III and Queen Camilla are in Canada. Greeted by a military honor guard, the Governor General, the Prime Minister and his wife, Indigenous leaders, and a small crowd of students, this is a long-awaited visit.
Canada should have been one of the first places he visited after becoming king because we are the senior member of the Commonwealth, and that's the tradition. That wasn't able to happen.
A cancer diagnosis early in the king's reign means the 76-year-old monarch arrives in Canada 2 years after his coronation. But a whirlwind 24 hours in the capital is making up for lost time. The royal visit, anchored by the speech from the throne Tuesday and meant to showcase the country's sovereignty, starts with Canada's game and centers around meeting Canadians.
The geopolitical sphere that we are in really influenced him to say, yes, I will be there. I will stand up for Canada at this time when they really need it.
At Rideau Hall, the king highlighting the strength of the Commonwealth and Canada's ocean-spanning bond with the monarchy, planting a ceremonial tree, his 5th time doing so, in a symbol of friendship and cooperation before their majesties held audiences with the Governor General and Prime Minister Mark Carney and his wife. All this in advance of tomorrow's speech from the throne, where Canadians' eyes and ears will be on the king and his scripted defense of Canada's sovereignty. Colton Prale, CTV News, Ottawa.
And as the royals settle in, we bring in CTV's Abigail Beeman, who's been covering the royal visit. Abigail, it really is a whirlwind, the king and the queen greeting and interacting with many people in a very short period of time. What's been the reaction to their visit in Ottawa so far?
Well, I can tell you that those who come out for a chance to glimpse the king and queen are so excited to be here. And for those who got to shake a hand or have a word with His Majesty, that's why they came out here today. I'm standing here on the grounds of Rideau Hall, where we understand the king is still inside. And there was a tree planting that you heard about from Colton a moment ago. But I was here when hundreds of people, probably approaching nearing 1,000, were here to take that in, to watch it take place. And one thing I'd like to highlight from that tree planting is the dirt used to plant that tree actually comes from all 13 provinces and territories. So that tree, represents all parts of our broad country, with the king attending that tree planting. And you asked about the people that he met. There was a woman here in sort of the VIP area of meeting wearing a sash, and she is about to turn 100. And so I'm told very exciting for her to meet the king today.
Now, tomorrow is really the big day, the speech from the throne at this pivotal time when our sovereignty is in the spotlight. Take us through what we can expect.
Well, if you saw those pictures from the airport today, you saw them in Colton's piece, and you thought that was pomp and circumstance or ceremony, you can expect much more of that tomorrow. The king will be taken with a horse-drawn carriage through to get to the Senate to deliver the speech. We're expecting members of the public are able to come out and again hope to catch a glimpse of the king there as well. So all the ceremony involved in delivering the throne speech will be in full force, and of course everybody listening very carefully to what is in that speech. So, as it's been mentioned, a very historic event. This is only the 3rd time that a monarch has actually delivered the speech, with Queen Elizabeth doing so in 1957 and 1977. And now, of course, we have King Charles delivering that speech tomorrow. The throne speech sets out the priorities of government. But coming at this time with this trade war with the United States, it is there to send a message of symbolism about Canada's sovereignty and to send a message to the American president that Canada is not the 51st state. And of course, another piece of this picture is we know that Donald Trump is a big fan of the king, a fan of the royal family. We saw how kindly he took to the recent invitation for an unprecedented second state visit for him to meet the king. So it's expected that President Donald Trump will be paying attention tomorrow. And of course, the hope is that this message of Canada's sovereignty and national unity will be underlined.
CTV's Abigail Beeman in Ottawa covering the royal visit. Appreciate it. And we should note CTV News will have special coverage of the speech from the throne delivered by King Charles III tomorrow. It will be hosted by Omar Sachedina and Vashi Kapelos starting at 9 a.m. on CTV News Channel and ctvnews.ca.
And also tonight, the newly elected Speaker of the House is dragged in as a new session of Parliament gets underway. The current agenda and old traditions coming up.
But first, to the effort to keep people safe as the summer street festival season gets underway.
Toronto loves a good party, closing down roadways to celebrate culture, music, and food. But in light of several recent violent and disturbing attacks, safety is top of mind. CTV's Natalie Johnson joins us live with the story. Natalie.
Well, Nathan, these street festivals are in so many ways the heart and soul of summertime in Toronto. And priority number one for the organizers is the safety of everyone involved. As the warm weather ushers in the start of festival season in Toronto, city officials are looking to cross the T on safety.
We got to step up our security game. So this continual explosion of Toronto soul continues to happen.
It was 1 month ago that an SUV drove into a crowd at the Lapu Lapu Day block party in Vancouver, killing 11 people. In December, a car drove into a Christmas market crowd in Germany, killing 6. 14 people died in a similar incident on New Year's Day in New Orleans. In the wake of those attacks, Toronto now focused on stepping up street festival safety here at home.
No matter what is happening out there globally, this city has to be about having fun when the sun is out.
The city today announcing it will boost funding for festival security, an additional $750,000 to help cover costs. The use of barriers to protect against hostile vehicles among the types of measures that will be employed.
The latest technology is an L-shaped hostile vehicle mitigation barrier, and it has a wheel at the back, and it will essentially stop any vehicle completely in its tracks. It'll raise the vehicle up, the wheels won't touch the ground anymore, the vehicle will stop right there.
A lot of people are looking to rent those things, and they are expensive.
The mayor insists that Toronto's festival season will carry on.
We come together to celebrate each other, and by gosh, if we have to curtail our activities because of fear, absolutely not.
Planning for a safe summer ahead.
And city officials say that every event is different with a different risk profile, and they will each have their own individual security plan prepared in consultation with Toronto Police. Reporting live, I'm Natalie Johnson. Nathan, over to you.
Thank you, Natalie. And we're following developing news out of the UK, where a car drove into a crowd celebrating at a Liverpool Football Club parade this afternoon. But first, a warning to viewers, the following video is graphic.
Oh my God!
Footage posted to social media shows the driver of an SUV accelerating into a group of soccer fans on Water Street shortly after 6 p.m. local time. It happened as players and staff toured through the streets on open-air buses to celebrate the team's title win. A 53-year-old man was arrested at the scene. Now, it's not clear how many people have been injured or what the extent of their injuries are. To Mississauga, where a teen was seriously injured in a high school parking lot this morning.
Witnesses say the grade 9 student was struck by a vehicle while he was riding his bike. It happened at Our Lady of Carmel School on Trelawney Circle near Winston Churchill and Derry Road. CTV's John Musselman reports.
This all happened at the side of the school around 8:20 this morning. Here's the information as we know it. A grade 9 student, 15 years old, was riding his bike when he was hit by an SUV. This happened on school property. Now, the student was temporarily trapped underneath that vehicle. Rescue crews had to free him. He was rushed to a local hospital, then transported to a trauma center. Police tell us that his injuries are listed as serious. He was breathing unconscious when he left the scene here. We don't know how this happened. That's part of the investigation. School officials say there may have been some students who saw what happened. They're also appealing for any witnesses as this investigation moves forward. But once again, the student was listed in serious condition. John Musselman, CTV News in Mississauga.
There was a crash near the QEW in Mississauga this morning. A pickup truck and another vehicle collided near North Service and Cawthor Road. The pickup truck smashed into the sound barrier for the QEW, knocking a portion of it over. Emergency crews could be seen righting the vehicle, which had flipped onto its side. Paramedics say 2 people were taken to hospital.
Overwhelming loss as students return to school in Walkerton, mourning the deaths of 4 students and a teacher killed in a tragic crash. Just ahead, how the community is honoring their lives and supporting the families.
But first to the forecast. There's a shot there of Nathan Phillips Square. After days of wet and dreary weather, the sun finally came out today and is starting to feel like the season. Lindsay Morrison is here with a look at the current conditions. Hey, Lindsay.
Nathan, sunny and seasonal. We haven't been able to say that too much lately, so it was a nice change of pace for today. Not completely dry everywhere. We're watching a couple of showers make their way through areas like Clarington, over toward Newtonville, and in through the Cobourg area. Peterborough, Barrie seeing some wet weather too, but it should remain dry in most parts of the GTA tonight. Anything that does pass by will be exactly that, fast moving. 20 degrees at this hour. It has been a little bit cooler for some lakeside communities, but not by much today. 13 degrees, for example, in Oakville. The winds are pretty light. They're now starting to come out of a southwesterly direction. We'll be at about 10 degrees overnight tonight. That, too, is nice and comfortable. But wet weather does move in for the middle of the week. We'll take you through the forecast coming up. For now, though, I'll send it back to you.
Thanks, Lindsay. Students and staff returned to school this morning in Walkerton following a tragic community loss.
4 students and a teacher were killed over the weekend in a crash near London. CTV's Scott Miller reports.
It was back to school for hundreds of Walkerton students following a tragedy that has shaken not only the students and teachers, but the entire community.
Right now, I think it's going to be a struggle.
Teacher Matt Eckert and students Olivia Rourke, Rowan McLeod, Cadence Ford, and Danica Baker were killed while traveling on their way home to Walkerton from a softball tournament in Dorchester last Friday, when the SUV they were in collided with a transport truck north of London.
Not to be dramatic, but it's tough. You feel it in the community. You feel it as a parent. I'm a dad, right? And you just feel for everybody. You feel for the families. You feel for the teachers. I have friends that are teachers. They're struggling as well.
A candlelight vigil held outside the school on Sunday night saw more than 1,000 people stand in solidarity with the families involved.
My husband and I chose this town 10 years ago when we moved out of the city, and we wanted to be in a town where community and family go hand in hand, and we got that in Walkerton.
A flower memorial outside the school continues to grow as strangers, close friends, even fellow students show their sorrow and support in the wake of such an unexpected tragedy.
I just thought it'd be nice to bring flowers for them because I want to show that I support them and I truly care.
Now the effects of this are far-reaching, well beyond Walkerton. 2 of the girls that passed away were members of a baseball team in Tara. That community is also coming together tonight for counseling and discussion. And there's also a GoFundMe page that some community members have set up to try and support the families during this time.
It impacts massively, not only with the school, but the community, families, and so on. It's tough. It's really, really tough.
At the school today, a lot of support was made available as well. Social workers and grief counselors were on site, and they'll be there as long as students and teachers need it, says the school board.
I know things will look very different at least in the mind's eye of students and staff as they return this week, as we all kind of come to terms with the initial shock.
I think with the school community and all of Walkerton coming together, I think it'll be a lot better to get through.
In Walkerton, Scott Miller, CTV News.
A 60-year-old man from Cambridge has been charged with careless driving following a two-vehicle crash on Highway 404 near Wellington this morning. OPP say a tractor-trailer collided with a passenger vehicle in the area that was reportedly slowing down due to a police investigation on the shoulder. No injuries have been reported.
We turn to details of a major drug trafficking bust in a rural Ontario town.
It is the largest ever in the community of Georgina. As CTV's Janice Golding reports, York Regional Police seized guns and drugs as part of the months-long investigation.
The town of Georgina is home to about 50,000 people, small compared to cities to the south, but at the heart this spring of a huge drug bust impacting much of central Ontario.
The trafficking of opioids and associated violence in smaller rural communities like Georgina has a devastating impact on the people and the families that live and work there.
Today, York Regional Police showed us what they seized following a 3-month investigation called Project Madruga. About 215,000 in illegal drugs, along with 7 handguns, 4 shotguns, and 4 rifles, 9 of them loaded at the time.
Weapons like this is scary to the police. It should be scary to the public, but it's also scary for the police.
Police say the investigation began in February after they received a tip that a man was trafficking in controlled substances in the town of Georgina, about a 90-minute drive from Toronto. York Regional Police eventually identified 5 other suspects who they believed were trafficking drugs in an area spanning from Toronto to Huntsville.
It really shows how one tip from a resident to police can have this sort of impact, and getting the drugs off the street and the guns off the street. Really critical.
In April and again in May, a total of 6 search warrants were executed in York Region and in the city of Toronto in a joint investigation involving Toronto Police and the OPP.
That fentanyl, we believe, is somewhat pure, so it's not cut. This group could make that into a greater amount of fentanyl for sure.
How much more? Well, police say about 25 times the amount sitting on display could be made into fentanyl by smaller dealers, making this the largest drug trafficking probe in the history of Georgina.
I've been here, since 1982. It used to be a nice, peaceful town. It's changed.
You think it's just in Toronto, but I think it's pretty much everywhere nowadays.
The illegal narcotics is big game, big money, right? It's worrisome about the weapons, though.
6 men have been charged with about 50 drug and firearm-related offences. Janice Golding, CTV News.
Back here at home, do you still have TTC tokens, tickets, or day passes? The clock is ticking to use them. The TTC was set to stop accepting those fare types at the end of last year following the system switch to Presto. But the transit agency's board extended that deadline to June 1st. That means there's a little less than a week left to make use of the tokens, tickets, and day passes. The TTC says refunds, exchanges, and credits will not be provided.
And heads up for subway riders, there's a closure to be aware of on Line 1 this week. Starting tonight and lasting through Friday, service between Shepherd Yonge and College stations will end at 11 p.m. because of track work. Shuttle buses will be running instead. There will also be limited nightly service starting at 11 p.m. between Finch West and Pioneer Village stations for planned tunnel work. The TTC says customers can expect delays of up to 20 minutes.
There was more opposition today to a new government bill aimed at fueling the economy through development in Ontario's north.
Its goal is to expedite critical mineral and mining projects, but critics say it would weaken environmental rules and First Nations rights. CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris has the details.
Outside Toronto City Hall, a rally against provincial legislation intended to speed up mining in the Ring of Fire and expedite other big projects by creating special economic zones.
And a Churches Act basically allows his government to build wherever, whenever, regardless of any municipal or provincial laws.
The Protect Ontario by Unleashing Our Economy Act has infuriated environmentalists, civil liberties groups, and First Nations.
Should this bill proceed in its current form, we will be idle no more.
A warning of legal and on-the-ground action if the government goes ahead.
There will be, closures, blockages of mines, roads.
The Premier dismisses objections to his government's bill.
There's opposition with the radical environmentalists, not everyone else. People want jobs.
That's an idiotic thing to say.
and it's so irresponsible.
The Minister of Energy and Mines now says changes are possible.
We can continue to work in good faith with First Nation leaders to strengthen the bill, to get it right. We're open to making those improvements to the bill. We already have made some, but I think there's some more work to do.
But in a second day of committee hearings on Bill 5, First Nations chiefs express the tone of dialogue leaves them wanting.
And so one party puts in writing that I can do whatever I want and you can't hold me accountable. That's not a mutual, respectable relationship.
The government maintains more mining in the north opens the door to new economic opportunity.
These communities have no road access in a shrinking winter road season. These are top of the list items for those communities.
First Nations leaders agree clean drinking water, better housing, and getting off diesel are vital.
We need all these things, but it's the how.
The government isn't saying what kind of amendments it's prepared to make to Bill 5, but the Premier is clear he doesn't intend to delay passing it. At Queen's Park, Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
A new era in Ottawa with the resumption of Parliament and Mark Carney's ambitious agenda for the next month.
But before the House got down to business today, a new referee was chosen. CTV senior political correspondent Mike Lecoutel reports.
The first order of business with any new parliament is the election of a Speaker of the House of Commons. And after Conservative MPs withdrew from the race, it was a choice of 6 Liberals. In a tradition dating back centuries, Quebec MP Francis Scarpaleggia feigns resistance to take his seat as the Speaker of the House. As he thanked members for their votes, he also asked for their cooperation in keeping decorum.
I would remind members that we are at the beginning of a mandate in the selfish hope that you will afford me a little grace period.
That sentiment also came from rookie MP and Prime Minister Mark Carney.
I have much to learn from the members of this great House. I will make mistakes. I have no doubt that you will call them out for good reason. Because this House has rules. It has traditions.
Traditions that former Speaker and current Conservative leader in the House, Andrew Scheer, knows all too well.
Debates should be passionate. They should be lively. The lives of Canadians are changed by the decisions we make, and so it is normal that members get enthusiastic and fiery. When the stakes are so high, often the best thing you can do is allow the players to play a little bit.
Now, the number of players has grown with 343 members of Parliament, but there is one less recognized party as the NDP failed to elect 12 MPs. And the government House leader confirmed those 7 members won't get official party status.
The law says 12 members.
But you can make exceptions. Yeah. Why not make an exception for them?
Can I make exceptions to the law?
Interim leader of the NDP, Don Davies, says he's not looking for an exception, but he wants access to resources.
These are all little privileges that are only afforded to recognized parties, but we should be able to get those because it'll help us do our job better.
Now, part of that job is to scrutinize legislation like the Liberals' middle-class tax cut and the bill to crack down on crime like car theft. All things that the government wants to get done in 4 weeks before the summer break. Mike Lecoutel, CTV News, Ottawa.
In the Gaza Strip, local health officials say Israeli strikes killed at least 46 people today. More than 30 were killed in a school-turned-shelter. Israel said they were going after militants operating there. It also blocked all food, medicine, and fuel from entering Gaza for 2.5 months before letting a trickle of aid enter last week. The move followed warnings of famine and pressure from some of Israel's top allies.
Ukraine says Russia launched its biggest drone attack of the war overnight. It was the 3rd straight night of significant aerial bombardments, more than 900 drones as well as missiles. Ukraine's president said today the mass attacks make no military sense. Instead, Volodymyr Zelensky insists it's a political choice by Vladimir Putin to continue the war and destroy lives. Zelensky says the strikes show Moscow is playing with diplomacy. He called for intensified pressure on Russia to limit its military capability.
A sentence was handed down in the theft of a famous portrait from an Ottawa hotel. This iconic photograph of Winston Churchill was taken from the Chateau Laurier sometime between Christmas Day 2021 and January 6, 2022. The roaring lion was then replaced with a fake. Jeffrey Wood admitted earlier this year to stealing the photograph and committing forgery. Today, the Ontario man was sentenced to 2 years less a day in jail. The portrait captures Churchill just after he delivered a wartime address to the Canadian Parliament. It was returned to the hotel after a lengthy international investigation.
To Hawaii, where one of the world's most active volcanoes is at it again. Lava poured from the Kilauea volcano on the Big Island of Hawaii yesterday. The mountain started erupting sporadically in December, and there have been more than 20 episodes since then. Most of them are separated by pauses of several days. This latest one lasted about 6 hours and also sent ash into the atmosphere. The United States Geological Survey has been streaming the volcanic activity online.
Coming up, a special new addition to the Little Canada attraction. The liberation of the Netherlands by Canadian Armed Forces 80 years ago, celebrated in miniature form. We'll take you on a tiny tour.
And I'm Pat Foran. Coming up on Consumer Alert, there are more signs economic uncertainty is causing financial problems for Canadians. A new report shows more people are missing payments on their credit cards, loans, and mortgages, and it's younger Canadians feeling the most pressure. I'll have that story. That's just it.
Average daytime high at this time of year is 21 degrees. We made it there today, and we're expected to again tomorrow. Another pleasant day. Just plan on an increase in cloud cover as the day goes on. In spite of that, we have a very high UV index for tomorrow, so slather on the sunscreen. Keep the umbrella handy for Wednesday. We'll take you through the forecast coming up. And stay with us. We've got another full night of great shows for you right here on CTV.
There are troubling new numbers that show more Canadians are missing payments on their mortgages, auto loans, and credit cards.
The report from Equifax Canada blames economic uncertainty, rising unemployment, and the high cost of food and housing. Here's Pat Foran and Consumer Alert. Pat.
Thanks, Nathan and Michelle. The report found that more people are having difficulty paying their monthly bills. And when you miss payments, it makes your financial situation even worse. It can affect your credit score and make it more difficult to get loans in the future.
Most Canadians know you should pay off your credit card bills each month, but only about 2/3 do. The rest carry a balance, which leads to added interest payments.
The interest is so high, it's really a shame because we're all struggling.
They want you to not pay it back so that you just slide down the hill. It's like a marble on a hill.
I just pay it off one every month, whatever the minimum. Sometimes I pay a little bit more and keep it going like that.
Now some Canadians are having trouble even making minimum payments. 1.4 million consumers missed a credit payment in the first quarter of this year, an increase of 146,000 over last year.
It definitely is younger consumers, maybe even lower income consumers as well, where we are seeing those missed payments really rising.
More consumers are also having trouble paying their car loans, especially younger people. Missed auto loan payments with consumers 35 and under increased 30% over last year. Canadians are also under mortgage stress, and many are searching for ways to lower their payments. 28% of homeowners switched lenders shopping around for better interest rates. Missed mortgage payments are also on the rise.
We've seen on the mortgage side, particularly in Ontario, the missed payments levels are really so much higher than they were kind of 12, 24, 36 months ago.
Home ownership remains out of reach for many people. A report from Desjardins found that while over the past 25 years, home prices have risen 320%, average disposable income only increased 110%. Credit counseling services say anyone who is missing payments should seek help before their situation gets worse.
You're getting the collection calls, you're getting the legal notices, you're not really knowing who to turn to.
Missing any type of payment can affect your credit rating and score, which could cause you to pay higher interest rates, and lenders may be reluctant to lend you money in the future.
And one bright spot is that credit card spending has dropped to a 3-year low as more people face financial pressures. It's believed some are trying to keep tighter control over their finances to avoid running up credit card bills. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
Well, this is how you Monday. Weather-wise, we have gorgeous sunshine, and finally the temperatures are cooperating. We get to put all that rain behind us, at least for a few days.
Yeah, it seems like we've been waiting forever for this, a good, seasonal type of day.
Yeah, and it looks like we are in for more seasonal temperatures over the next week or two here. Probably not summertime heat yet, so we're not exactly swinging in the other direction, but I think We'll take this. We are going to cool down briefly as we make our way into the middle part of this week. A little bit of wet weather returns as well, but it's nothing quite like what we experienced last week, so at least there's that. Let's show you what it looked like a little earlier this afternoon. I know folks were getting outside today, be it for a walk, maybe to play some tennis or some pickleball at High Park. What a great day. Temperatures seasonal, comfortable, not overly hot, and it was so nice to have a day of sunshine. I know we had periods of sun over the weekend, but we also had some wet weather that dampened a few spirits out there. Let's talk about what's in store not only for the rest of this evening, great patio weather if you're still looking to make some dinner plans tonight, and then into tomorrow. Pretty pleasant day as well. It's 20 degrees this hour in Toronto, as well as Walkerton, Windsor, 21 in places like Sudbury and Muskoka, Timmins too. The hottest temperatures in Ontario right now, right along that shoreline of Hudson's Bay, way in the north. As for tonight, we're looking at a seasonal low of 10 degrees. 11 is the average overnight low at this point in the season. And then waking up tomorrow morning, mostly sunny skies. Temperatures quickly climb into the double digit or even teens as you're waking up and heading out the door. But I do anticipate that we are going to see a bit of an increase in cloud tomorrow. It's likely high cloud for the most part until we make our way into Tuesday evening when that cloud cover is going to thicken up a little bit. But forecast high 21, seasonal norm is 21. So once again, it's going to be a pretty nice day. We're watching a couple of spotty showers around Curtis, just north of Port Perry as well. It's pretty dry around the GTA, and we expect it to remain so through the nighttime hours tonight. High pressure is at play. It's an area of low pressure that's going to move in and be a weather maker through the middle part of the week. A brief soaker, this one, not a multi-day event like last week. There's that little bit of cloud drifting in for tomorrow mixed with sun. Then into your Tuesday evening, it thickens up. Wednesday, looks like the low is taking a little bit of its time moving in. So this is more so now going to be a bit of an afternoon and evening event, but plan on wet weather continuing overnight into Thursday. And a few showers on and off are set to continue for your Thursday and for your Friday. How much rain? It's not looking like a lot, maybe 5 to 10 millimeters expected at this point. Just have that umbrella handy, especially as we make our way into, again, Wednesday afternoon, periods of rain. It's also going to be a little bit of a cooler day, 15 for the high. We are back around 20 degrees, though, for Thursday. Friday, back into some sun with that chance of wet weather persisting. 22 is the forecast high. I'm happy to share that the weekend looks to dry out once again. Saturday, slightly cool at 19 degrees. Hey, Sunday is the first day of June, and it's looking like, again, another sunny and seasonal day for us. But again, temperatures look to remain somewhere around the low 20s for highs and right where they should be for overnight lows. So no summertime heat yet, but I think most of us will take and accept this temperature trend. That's your look at the weather for now. Michelle, over to you.
Thanks, Lindsay. Well, the OPP carried out a delicate operation on the QEW today. Officers in Burlington rescued a family of ducklings from a catch basin near 50 Road. They say they were assisted with members of the MTO to make sure the young birds were taken away from the busy roadway. Sharing on social media, another reason to slow down and move over when you see emergency lights on the highway.
Also tonight, a U of T professor, scientist, and nurse is recognized for her groundbreaking research, helping kids manage chronic pain using digital tools and robots. Health is next.
The Hospital for Sick Children has the largest pediatric pain clinic in Canada.
And this year, one of its founders received a top international award for her work. CTV's health reporter Pauline Chan has the details.
Jen Stinson helped found the chronic pain clinic at Sick Kids Hospital some 25 years ago.
And our goal is to get them back doing the things that they want to do, which is going to school, seeing their friends, potentially having a job, getting ready to go to university.
Children are treated for chronic abdominal pains, headaches, but also for more rare conditions like complex regional pain syndrome.
So this is a syndrome where young people could have a minor injury like a sprain or bumped into a locker in a school. They develop acute pain, and that pain persists. And so there's changes in the pain pathways within their body that keep that pain going.
The patient is assessed in this room by a multidisciplinary team with a nurse or nurse practitioner, an anesthesiologist, a physical therapist, and a psychologist. One of the challenges in pediatrics is that the medications often used in adults have not been tested or approved in children.
So for sure, medications are used when appropriate, but in our clinic, the focus really is on physical therapies and psychological therapies.
15 years ago, Veena Mohabir was one of those patients after a lingering softball injury.
Like, pediatric chronic pain was worse for me than my experience of breast cancer at 28. I felt dehumanized because oftentimes I wasn't believed when I was a 15-year-old kid.
But Stinson's team believed her, and treatment was successful. Now Mohabir is doing her PhD in pain management alongside Stinson, who has just been awarded the prestigious Gairdner Award, the first nurse to win, and the first to shine a spotlight on pediatric pain.
My program of research really focuses on how we can use digital technologies or digital therapeutics to help young people either better assess, but more importantly, manage their pain on their own.
Things like using virtual reality or robots with small children, and even developing a free portal for teens to learn about and manage their own conditions. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
A new report finds more than half of women in Canada say the country's healthcare system does not meet their needs. The national survey conducted by Maple and Angus Reid found 62% of women had delayed or skipped care because of long wait times. 76% of respondents believe the system is not designed with their needs in mind, while 70% feel their health concerns are not taken seriously. Meanwhile, 43% say they've experienced delays in receiving appropriate treatment, while 35% reported either delayed or misdiagnosis. Well, Little Canada is known for shining a big spotlight on our country's most notable landmarks.
Now, as the world marks the 80th anniversary of the liberation of the Netherlands, Canada's role is being celebrated at the exhibit. CTV's Jessica Smith reports.
Recognizing a big part of Canada's history in miniature form.
2 weeks ago, we unveiled our 80 Years of Freedom project, which talks about the 80th anniversary of the liberation of the Netherlands. Liberated by the Canadians.
The latest installation was over a year in the making and is the second historical display, the first, Vimy Ridge.
We want to do here at Little Canada is tell stories, yes, but more importantly, evoke a sense of wonder and curiosity about our country.
The display is a miniature replica of the real thing located in Mississauga, sharing stories of 40 different people.
20 stories of Canadians who liberated the Netherlands, and 20 stories of Dutch citizens who were liberated by the Canadians.
Each piece meticulously designed in-house.
15-20% is 3D printed, and even then we still have to design and assemble and paint.
Taking iconic life-size Canadian scenes and historical moments and shrinking them down so you can travel the country from the corner of Yonge and Dundas. Up next for Little Canada are their preparations for their Canada Day celebrations, with a special surprise for the first 1,000 visitors. Jessica Smith, CTV News.
After the break, forced to pay a lot of dough. A judge approves a $500 million settlement in a bread price-fixing case.
The geopolitical sphere that we are in really influenced him to say, yes, I will be there. I will stand up for Canada at this time when they really need it.
Updating our top stories, King Charles received a warm welcome this afternoon as he began a 2-day visit to Ottawa. It's his first time in Canada as the reigning monarch. Tomorrow, the king will deliver the speech from the throne, which is expected to include a scripted defense of Canada's sovereignty.
We got to step up our security game. So this continual explosion of Toronto soul continues to happen.
Toronto is increasing funding by $750,000 to protect people at festivals this summer. The measures include barriers to stop hostile vehicles. The decision follows a number of deadly attacks in Canada and elsewhere.
The trafficking of opioids and associated violence in smaller rural communities like Georgina has a devastating impact on the people and the families that live and work there.
An investigation by York Regional Police has yielded about $215,000 in illegal drugs and 15 guns. There was a tip in February about the trafficking of controlled substances in Georgina. 5 additional suspects were later identified, alleged to be trafficking in an area from Toronto to Huntsville. 6 men have been charged.
Remember to keep up to date day and night at ctvnewstoronto.ca and by downloading the CTV News app.
The U.S. president is delaying tariffs on the European Union. BNN Bloomberg's Mirella Fernandez has more.
The U.S. president has pressed pause on tariffs targeting the European Union. They were supposed to take effect next week. Trump had threatened a 50% markup on European goods on Friday, calling the 27-nation bloc uncooperative in trade talks. But a weekend call with the EU chief led him to delay the tariffs until July. Here's how the trading day ended. The Canadian dollar is slightly down to 72.80. West Texas Intermediate ended the day at 61.53. Our fix on Western Canadian Select has it up to 51.01. And the TSX shot up 193 points today to 26.073. Those are your business headlines. I'm Mirella Fernandez.
The Business Report is brought to you by Canadian Western Bank, the bank built for business.
Unionized workers at Via Rail have voted more than 97% in favor of strike action. Negotiations were expected to resume today under the ongoing federal conciliation process. Unifor could be in a legal strike position as of June 22nd. The union represents more than 2,500 workers at Via Rail, including onboard staff, maintenance crews, and customer service agents.
Meanwhile, still no movement in the Canada Post labor dispute. The two sides returned to the bargaining table yesterday, but not face-to-face. The Crown Corporation says it is reviewing the union's latest response in detail and will respond in short order. In the meantime, a national ban on overtime continues after the union, representing about 55,000 workers, opted for the limited labor action. Canada Post has warned of delays in mail delivery.
A $500 million settlement has been approved in an alleged bread price-fixing scheme. Loblaw Companies and its parent company were accused of engaging in an industry-wide arrangement in 2001. Some other major grocers denied involvement, but Loblaw and George Weston Limited admitted they were part of the practice years ago. Customers who bought bread between January 2001 and December 2021 and did not previously take a gift card from Loblaw will receive up to $25.
The Toronto Blue Jays kicked off a series in Texas this afternoon, hoping to end a 3-game losing streak.
3-0 green light and a fly ball to right field.
An RBI sac fly by Alejandro Kirk put the Jays up 2-0 in the fourth. Texas would cut the lead in half with a home run in the bottom of the inning, but that is all the Rangers would get. Game 2 is tomorrow night.
Just ahead, track and field day without barriers. Toronto students converge for a taste of competition that puts participation first.
Tonight, meet the Canadian creator behind the throne's unique design.
A lot of things going through my mind. Will he like it? Will he be comparing it to what he sits on in Buckingham Palace? I don't know.
How the new concept is carving out a piece of history. Later on CTV National News.
And a reminder, the CTV News at 6 podcast is available as a download every weeknight. And a special shout out to those of you listening to the newscast live on News Talk 1010. Finally tonight, a field day where all can find their stride.
CTV's Beth McDonnell takes us to a track meet where physical barriers aren't an issue.
Racing like the wind down the track, having a blast. This is the kind of joy everyone is after at the barrier-free track and field meet. 12-year-old Jaden loves the running and basketball.
So the running, you can get first place or last place, and I'm very competitive, so I get the first place. And the basketball, it's very fun, so you can help other people. So if you don't want to play, you can't help.
The annual meet is for young students from across the TDSB and special education programs. When the bell rings, groups move, trying the parachute, sledge hockey, dancing, and more. Activities not often in the classroom. Kevin has joined in to be with his nonverbal brother, Jonathan.
It's just really fun because there's activities for everyone here. He's more like happy. He's like fooling around and stuff. He's like smiling, giggling, screaming, and laughing. And it's just like really nice to see him like be active more.
The track and field event has been creating new opportunities for students to have fun for nearly 2 decades. Instead of competition, participation is the focus.
It's all about just come in and dance and have fun and have a party in here.
Organizer Jeff McBride says what started out as a one-day event for 40 students has grown to a 4-day event for around 1,500 students.
Or when I see the parents smiling because their kid's doing something they didn't think they could ever do, and they see their child with a smile on their face, it's perfect for me.
Jaden, too, sees the benefits of his fellow students coming together.
Very good. I saw one special kid. He was dancing, waving his hands, everything. And it was very nice to see other people doing it.
A meet where all students leave with ribbons, a chance to feel their best. Beth McDonnell, CTV News.
What a great story. So important for everyone to be active.
Honestly, day to remember for all of them. And guess what? We're going to remember this day, too. Oh, my gosh, the sunshine. Great day to get outside.
And a little bit of a repeat for tomorrow. Just a bit more in the way of cloud, but still very pleasant for spending time outside or inside. Here's tomorrow's forecast daytime highs. Bang on seasonal. 21 is what we're expecting here in Toronto. So there's the increase in cloud. And then here comes the wet weather into the day on Wednesday. So just be aware of that. Keep the umbrella handy. It's also going to be a bit of a cooler day. Forecast high Wednesday, 15 degrees. But then we're back into the 20s for Thursday, Friday, holding on to the chance of a shower. Michelle and Nathan.
Thanks, Lindsay. That's it for us. But be sure to join Omar Sechedina tonight at 11 for CTV National News, followed by Zoraida Allman with our next local newscast at 11:30.
In the meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and the whole team here at CTV News, thanks for watching and have a great night.
Just